Chad, LSU went into the fake Death Valley on Saturday night and got it done. We have something more important to talk about first. Alabama, come have a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.
Yes, indeed.
We're taking receipts, and the first receipt we have to talk about, who's actually taking receipts is Tommy Castellanos, quarterback of the 1-0 Florida State Seminoles. Doak Campbell Stadium, 3:30 Eastern. Alabama Crimson Tide go and fall flat on their face to the war chants and the power of the Florida State Seminoles. Chad, Alabama's 0-1 to start the season for the first time since 2001. Since before 9/11, Chad, Alabama's 0-1 to start the season.
Alabama is under 500 for the first time since 2006 at any point in any season.
They are 5-5 in the last 10 games.
Yes, and they are 1-3 in their last 4 games.
Before we move on, welcome Alabama fans and everybody else.
Welcome Alabama fans.
Welcome. If you haven't been here before, this is the South End Zone where we come and talk shit and have fun. Listen, if we lose, you can get right back to us. Don't worry. I just want to remind everybody to like, comment, share, subscribe. We get a lot of hate. We get a lot of love everywhere in between, but we're happy that you're here regardless. Anyway, Alabama lost.
I have had to watch these fake Louisianians drive around Baton Rouge for the last 15 years with their little A sticker on the back of their car that none of them gave a rat's ass about Alabama until Nick Saban left and went to the NFL and then fell into Alabama's lap. And whatever deal with the devil you had to make that happen, Alabama fans, the bill has come due.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so much fun to watch. In the words of one Tommy Castellanos, Nick Saban is not there to save them. So the thing that was most astonishing about this to me was they actually got manhandled up front.
Never seen it before.
Proctor got put in a turnstile.
For combined in the game, they rushed for 87 yards and 55 of it was in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Yeah, and that's one part of it. That's one aspect of it, Tyler. But the other part of it, this is the thing that really, to me, kind of says it all. Is it's not just their inability to run the ball. They gave up 230 yards on the ground.
They did.
And yes, I know Castellanos had 78 of that, and that's a big deal. A running quarterback makes a difference. I'm not saying it doesn't make a difference, and that this was all just lining up and pounding them in the mouth. There was a lot of jet sweeps and those sorts of things, reverses. But the reality of the matter is you looked at that game, and when games are played in the trenches and you get manhandled like that, where you only manage 3 yards per rush and you give up almost 5 yards per rush, and you give up the sacks that you gave up, and hell, even Florida State had the only turnover. So this wasn't something where Alabama turned the ball over and it was an unlucky game because it was raining a little bit or anything like that. No, Florida State came out and just flat whipped them.
Well, let me tell you, it really honestly gave me shades of the Vanderbilt game where they kept mixing up looks, and there's a lot of credit goes to one man who has had a lot of experience with playing the University of Alabama. That is one offensive coordinator, Gus Malzahn. The Gus Bus is a resident of the Florida State Seminoles, and I think he coached a great game against them. I really do. They mixed up a lot of looks. There's some simple stuff. Obviously, they spread it out, but then there's some triple options, some pitchbacks, some reverses, and they really got the ball moving. I think that they literally had an Alabama defense on their heels, bro. 2015, 2016, you could not run up the middle on Alabama. You would get your ass put in the dirt if you dared to go up in the middle against the guy like what Deron Payne and dudes like that up in the middle. You wouldn't have a shot in hell at running up the middle or anywhere really off the tackles, inside the tackles, didn't matter against Alabama. It's so different, and I want to apologize because you and I said, Florida State, they, all transfers, and this brings up a really great point, actually, of multiple fronts. All transfers, they're going to get killed. Or were we wrong? Those transfers came together. They played their asses off.
I mentioned it when we talked about it on Friday. I was like, we don't know. Like maybe having no returning starters is a good thing because they were terrible last year.
It was a great thing, and that game saved Mike Norvell's career.
Absolutely.
And you and I, Florida State fans, if you're new here, welcome. We wanted you in the playoff. We went to bat for y'all time and time again that your undefeated team should have been in the playoff without question. Just saying. And the atmosphere, I could feel it through my TV like I've rarely ever experienced before. Like the war. Say what you will, Chad, about the war chant.
We talked about it on the phone.
Yeah. I think that still goes crazy. I'm just saying when it's loud and you can feel it like that. I can only imagine what the atmosphere in that stadium must have been like. And
no, I mean, we talked about it on the phone. Like college football is better when Florida State is good. When Florida State is good, Notre Dame is good, Miami is good. We're going to get to that. We're gonna cover that game as well. But yeah, this game was I would say it's like the most embarrassing thing I've seen. But there was that game in Norman, Oklahoma last year where Alabama only mustered 3 points. But that's not even the worst one. You lost to Vanderbilt. Like, I'm never going to let you live that down. Like, this is your new normal. This is the new reality. You are just another college football team that you are hoping is good enough to maybe have a shot at making a playoff.
That's what I'm saying. Welcome to planet Earth, Alabama fans. The transfer portal is here. I've said it, I think, at least once a season. Chad, there are no Bo Scarboroughs on the Alabama roster. There are no Kenyon Drake being your third string. There is no Josh Jacobs waiting in the wings. There is no Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith receiving cores anymore, unless you're at Ohio State somehow. Anyway, that is over. Nick Saban got out when he was supposed to. He's never coming back to save y'all. He really won't. Now he really won't. And it's just a clear lack of just grit. There's a lack of discipline. And the stat I've been waiting to drop on you, Chad, Josh Pay gave me this little nugget. I got to shout him out. That under DeBoer, in every game, the other team has had less penalties than Alabama. In every game.
Yeah, and that's
every game.
And I'll say this. So, like, now what we are seeing is with Ty Simpson at quarterback, and this is no slight to Ty Simpson.
I don't think he played bad. He's had no chance.
There's no Milroe or Justice Haynes to bail them out either. So that's the other part of it is I think that a lot of these flaws were masked by the fact that Jalen Milroe would just take off and Superman the whole game by himself.
It was Jeremy Bernard just trying for his best to catch everything and do what he could. That guy played his ass off that game. I will say that. Williams, is like he's going to get the best coverage you can. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of like a bailout where it's like, Williams has a step on the guy and there was no protection for Simpson. So he'd have to run, throw it away. And their best option is to underthrow Ryan Williams. So he would have to run back into the defender, get a PI, and that's how you stay alive. Right. It's just like DeBoer, I feel like with most SEC coaches, especially like growing up, there is, Steve Spurrier spiking the visor. There's Nick Saban losing his mind. Kirby Smart has gotten the ass of many of Georgia players, and there's just none of that with DeBoer, it feels like. And I don't think that he's a bad coach, like, at all. It's just I don't think he's I think he what we all knew has come to fruition. Whoever was going to follow up Nick Saban was going to be doomed from the start, regardless of who it may have been. And that's just kind of the world we're living in. So welcome to Planet Earth, Alabama fans.
Yeah.
Nice to have you.
And welcome to the South End Zone. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Drop your comments for sure, because I know the Gumps are going to have all kinds of stuff to say about this, all kinds of excuses to make, the same excuses you made when you lost to Vanderbilt, the same excuses that you made when you lost in Norman to Oklahoma 24-3, the same excuses that you made when you lost in the rain to Michigan in the bowl game. I know, yes, you came into Baton Rouge and you whipped our ass. It's a whole different squad we got now, and I don't see it going that way. So, but anyway, welcome to the South End Zone, and we will transition to our next game, which is
speaking
the
of
LSU-Clemson game. Yep.
So Chad, I'll be honest with you. I knew that you were going to have plenty to say. So I did not personally write down any particular notes other than Trey'Dez Green is a gigantic human being, and that touchdown should have been a touchdown in my opinion. You were honestly way nicer about it when we were talking on the phone, so I'm just going to give you the floor.
Yeah, the key takeaway for me is, so LSU wins 17-10 on the road at Fake Death Valley against Clemson, and there's a tiger mascot, and then there's this other thing that I don't know what it is. It looks like a toddler sewed this thing together with like a craft kit. What?
It's from Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, it's a terrible mascot. That's about how they played. The score didn't really give a good indication of how dominant this performance was by LSU. I'll show you some of the stats here as we let's see. I got it.
Please do, sir. Please
Got to switch the mode.
I honestly think I know you're going to get to it, but I think that before Chad says all he has to say, Clemson fans, y'all are going to be okay.
They've got a conference that allows them to be okay.
You don't
Right. Shut up, Stephen A. Smith.
Okay, because you're getting rolled.
Whoa, where's?
That's what happened.
I don't want this audio on here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry.
No,
There's
shut
audio
up,
playing in the background, and I can't make it stop.
You know what, Stephen A? We will go ahead. We will talk.
Anyway, we are going to go ahead.
All
right, I don't know how to make that stop. Well, anyway, I'll just read you off the stats because I didn't realize it was going to play audio. Thank you very much, ESPN app.
We'll take it from here, Stephen
audio.
Anyway, we'll take it from here.
There, I muted it. Okay, now we're good. I can bring it back up. It's live TV, folks. This is what happens. Anyway, so what I wanted to get into is, all right. So the overall total yards, 354 to 261, 246 passing, 230 passing. Yeah, LSU gave up a little bit in the air. Some of that was in that garbage time, like late, where they're kind of doing the bend don't break, keep them at bay. The time of possession. So LSU turned the ball over twice, 2 fumbles, one in the red zone and one that gave Clemson a field goal early on. 37-10 to 22-50. 15 minutes difference in time of possession. And the other part of it, the part that's probably the biggest in that stat, is Clemson had the ball for 9 minutes in the second half. A 10-3 lead at halftime. They had the ball for 9 minutes in the second half. LSU's actually the defense is back. We are finally getting to see LSU defense the way that LSU defense is supposed to be played. The nightmare of 2023 and 2024 seems to be over. Perk is back to being Perk.
Mm-hmm.
And LSU really dominated the line of scrimmage. The rushing totals, it was only 110 yards rushing for LSU, but Clemson could not run the ball. 31 total yards rushing. That's sack adjusted or not sack adjusted. So I think the sacks probably bring that number. You're probably in the low 50s as a team rushing the ball if you take out the sacks, which I still don't understand why sacks are rushing yards.
Yeah.
In college football still. It's not that way in the NFL. They're counted towards, I think, your team passing total. So anyway, stupid. The back end is secure also, even with AJ Halsey having to sit out that whole first half. The guys who were there actually held it down until he was available, and then you got to see his impact in the second half. But the pass rush, man, and the other thing is the DBs, the corners, Mansour Delane from Virginia Tech locking down on one side, and then PJ Woodland, a sophomore, a true sophomore, locking down the other side and holding their own against one of the most talented groups of receivers in college football this year. It's like Ohio State, Alabama, and then this Clemson group. And, LSU's somewhere in that top 10 range or something like that. I think there's a lot of people don't know the names yet. It's more of like a volume depth of guys than it is necessarily that upper end talent like you have it with Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams and some of those other guys. But yeah, and then the other thing is the biggest question mark, LSU's offensive line against that Clemson defensive front that everybody was talking about. LSU's offensive line actually held up well. No sacks on Nussmeier, or he had the one sack. He had the one sack where he couldn't get away. They left the guy on block, but that was it. They gave him time to throw. And the other thing is Nussmeier did his thing. Like, he actually looks like he's got that. Some of the stuff that he was, the mistakes that he was making, he was trying to do too much. I love the fact, I know he didn't put up huge numbers, but I'm fine with him I don't want him to have to put up 350, 400 yards. The fact that he could check down and find the little underneath stuff in a game like this, playing in a hostile environment on the road, first game of the season, where you're still kind of trying to feel out if all the stuff that you've been doing against yourself in practice all spring and fall is actually going to translate when you play a team in another colored jersey, right? So seeing him actually like go into there with that composure and just take what was there and not try to do too much was huge. And I don't know, like, was this the most impressive win all weekend? This is the only team that went on the road against another top 10 team and actually beat them in their home building. Everything else was either home teams winning or neutral sites winning against unranked teams or something to that effect. So I don't know. I'm gonna claim it. It's the
you can claim that. I'm not gonna take that away from you. I don't know.
It's funny how they always, like, something like this happens and then all of a sudden it's like, well, let's just discredit Clemson now.
Yeah, I think that Clemson is good. I think they played just fine.
Why are we going to discredit Clemson now? Why don't we discredit Texas?
That's what I don't think that people should do. And I think, like, because Clemson played great. I think Cade Klubnik is also playing fine. I think that, they have a lot of pieces there. They returned a lot. I think that they made you guys work for that win, and you guys won it. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, either way that would have been won. The team that won earned it, regardless.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. So you notice I haven't brought up any bad calls or anything like that, missed calls, we got screwed or anything like that. Because I had some people over, we were watching the game, and I was even like feeling this way during the game. Like, the Bauer Sharp fumble, it was a good call. The pass where we like ripped the ball free and the guy had his knee down first, that was a good call. Like, he was down, so it wasn't a fumble. We don't get the turnover. There's the touchdown in the end zone that wasn't a touchdown. The Bauer Sharp catch on the sideline right by the goal line, his foot never touched the ground in bounds. So, like, all of these calls, it wasn't that we got screwed by bad calls. It was just that, like, these were some little, like, very, very close 50-50 plays that every single one of them went the wrong way for LSU, and then we still won the game. So that's the other part of it, is like, when you look at getting no breaks, there were no like bounces that went LSU's way.
Right.
It was all, Barry and Brown hits the pylon, touchdown, boom. But, like, let's be honest, the ball moved a little bit, so it's not a catch. I would have loved for them to have ruled differently, but they did the same thing to Nick Harbor yesterday in the South Carolina game, and it was a good call because the ball was moving. Like, if the rule is you have to have firm control of the ball before you, like, while you're in bounds, he was out of bounds by the time he finally secured the ball. Now, if they want to start trying to redefine, like, if you have control and then you go out of bounds and then somebody hits it while you're still kind of going to the ground and they change that, okay, fine. But, like, the way the rule is, you have to survive the ground. And if you don't survive the ground, it's not a catch. So
I thought his knee hitting the pylon with the ball was good enough, but I guess he still had control. Anyway,
it's that going to the ground nonsense. So at least it's not as bad as Calvin Johnson, 15 years ago, whenever that was. But yeah, so I'm ecstatic. It was a first game of the season, Calvin Johnson caught the ball and put his hands down on the ground with the ball, and he got up to celebrate. And when he put his hands down to get up to prop himself up, the ball came loose and they called it incomplete. Bro, he was using the ball to stand up to celebrate. It's clearly a catch. Anyway, bygones. Anyway, it was a great win. Really fun to watch too. And I liked just seeing that. We talked about it before the games, that I felt like all three of the games this weekend that were those top 10 matchups, I felt like it was more important to the team that won the game than it was to the team that would lose the game.
I agree.
The teams that won these games are all but guaranteed a spot in the playoff, and the teams that lost are not eliminated.
Right.
So it was more of a propulsion game than it was a, if you lose this, you're screwed situation. So,
no doubt.
And they were all good games. Like even the Notre Dame game went down to the wire. So
no doubt.
It was, and yeah, the Texas game, it was 14-0, and then they had to scramble but they were, bro, they had 4th and goal twice and failed.
Speaking of the Texas game, yeah. Texas went up to Columbus. Arch Manning got his first start. Julian Sang got his first start. Ryan Day versus Sark, running back. Honestly, what was last year's national championship. Let's call it what it is. Ohio State takes on Texas. And Lee Corso's last college game day, he picked them right. He actually went 5-0 this weekend with all the picks that he made on his way out the door.
I'm here for it because you know what else he did? He picked LSU to win the whole thing.
Oh, on his way out.
Yeah, LSU over Penn State in the national championship.
That'd be an electric national championship, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So for this game, I think there's a lot to it's weird because there's the score was what you see it right here. It's 14-7. I feel like a lot of this was both coaches not wanting to put their guy in a bad situation and not get too complicated, but then also being so conservative that they shot themselves in the foot multiple times. I think there was a couple drops by Jeremiah Smith, which I thought was also kind of weird.
Back, I think it was 2 passes in a row.
Right, and short, just little dump off passes that he was just turned around, the ball was here, and he just looked away.
Right.
Julian Sang kind of finding his footing a little bit. I feel like people need to kind of. Well, I'm gonna throw this to you in a second. I think that Arch did what Arch did, but people need to relax just a little bit. We talked about pumping the brakes last week. People need to give the kid a chance. I know he's been in the system for 3 years, but his first start is not a cupcake. He had to go on the road against the last year's national champions.
Yeah.
At a big noon kickoff with all of the pressure in the world on him. He's a Manning. He knows what his last name is, guys. Hello.
Right.
Obviously, he's not stupid. He's a good kid. He's earned the right to be Sark's starter, obviously, because he kept Ewers over him. So there's a reason for that.
Right.
I don't know. Yes, he did make some bad throws, but I think that he just needs time. He did not have the weapons in this game, and it was very apparent that he did not have the same weapons. We talked about this pregame, the weapons that Ewers had. How do you feel about how this one went?
Yeah, I mean, so remember we talked about. I thought that the key was going to be their ability to run the ball against Ohio State's front, and they did. It's another one where you go and you look at the numbers, and it's a little misleading. The way that the score was in that game, you would think that Ohio State just dominated because it was 14-0 in the fourth quarter, but you actually look at the numbers, and then you look at some of the other at the game script, the game flow, and Texas had 16 first downs. Ohio State only had 11. Ohio State had 200 total yards of offense, 126 through the air, 77 on the ground. And I'm not saying Texas was great, but they ran for 166 yards on the ground, 4.5 yards a carry, doubled up on what Ohio State was able to do. Arch did throw one pick, but the thing is, they had multiple turnovers on fourth. They were 1 for 5 on fourth down. Texas was, and one of those was like early on at like close to midfield. They tried to go for it on the goal line multiple times and just kept running the ball up the middle. And I'm not saying like I'm totally with you. I do feel like some of this was a like protect Arch and protect Julian Sayin from having some major mistake. Kind of like what you do when you have a young pitcher. You don't want to bring him up to the majors too early and have his head get ripped off, because then he starts like not trusting his fastball. Yeah. You know, we're speaking of which, maybe Arch should not trust his fastball so much because he throws the ball way too hard on short to intermediate routes. And that was, but I will say this. I don't know if he's maybe not a little overhyped. There's something in his mechanics, like his throwing motion. He comes down kind of sidearm, and it's not great for like a platform to get the ball through passing lanes. Now, if you do that, like you see Patrick Mahomes do this all the time, right? Where he's using different arm angles to avoid an extended arm, to throw around a defender. Like he's like a point guard out there, like, wrapping around, throwing like, backspin bounce passes and stuff to a guy who's cutting. Arch Manning is just like, his throwing mechanic is he throws the ball 3/4 delivery, and he throws the piss out of it, and sometimes it's too much. So I don't know. I was a little surprised that they didn't have more designed runs for him. Maybe some a little more RPO. It seemed like they did a lot of just like straight up either play action or just straight drop back out of the shotgun.
Well, he got caught a couple times, even when he tried to it was like a collapsing pocket. He tried. The Ohio State defense got him.
That's different though. That's not. I'm talking about like design stuff, designed runs where you run an RPO or you run a little read option where he gets to read the end and then keep it and go to the outside. This was more of like, he was trying to scramble up through the middle of a collapsing pocket, and that's not. That's going to be tough regardless. The pocket's collapsing.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue. Patricia, I think like overall the defense for Ohio State got the job done for them this weekend. I know that like Texas kind of gave them some. I think both teams honestly tried to hand it to each other a couple of times, if we're being honest. Each had their fair share.
For sure.
I thought that if this was going to happen, right, the Ohio State receivers were going to have to do their best to help Sayin out, and Carnell Tate makes an unbelievable catch in the end zone, like around the defender's back, like all this, like falling backwards, like crazy. That was awesome. There's something about, like, for example, Gus Malzahn being the OC at Florida State, Patricia now being the DC at Ohio State. There's something about guys who have been head coaches around the league, around the country, and then they get to go back to their roots and just get in their bag, being a coordinator for like what they know best. Like I was saying, like whoever picks up Will Muschamp as a defensive coordinator automatically makes your team good. It's true. We'll make your team better. It's the truth. He can't be a head coach, but your defense will be so much better with him as your coordinator. It's certain guys, like when they just get a hold of a team and they do it right, like they become better. I think that like Patricia looks like it's going to be a good fit for Ohio State. I just think that it all came down to just, somebody had to eventually give way, and it was Ohio State making their way.
Yeah, so I'm going to just go through like this drive. So it's 7-0 and start of the third quarter, 3 and out. Okay. Texas gets the ball back. 15 plays, 70 yards, 7 minutes off the clock. 6-yard run, 6-yard run, 3-yard pass, 15-yard run, 9-yard run, 2-yard run, 4-yard run, 4-yard pass, 8-yard run, 9-yard pass, 2-yard pass, 5-yard run. Now they are so that 2-yard pass got them down to the 9. So it's first and goal at the 9. 5-yard run by Arch Manning down to the 4. Then a 1-yard run by Arch Manning down to the 3. Then a 2-yard run by CJ Baxter down to the 1, and then no gain running out of the middle. So like 4 straight running plays from first and goal at the 9. All right, and turnover on downs. So Ohio State now. Credit to Matt Patricia and that Ohio State defense for bowing up, but no passing plays, and everything was run up the middle. That's the other part. It's like you're running right into the teeth, the strength of their defense when you're in that tight. I would say their secondary is probably the strength of their defense when you're a little farther away from. And then Texas gets the ball back. Ohio State gets the ball back, 3 and out again, 3 plays, 7 yards. Then Texas throws a pick, and then Ohio State goes down and 68 yards later puts it into the end zone. That's the big play to us. So that first time that Ohio State scored a touchdown, there's a lot of penalties by Texas. And then this one, an interception sets up, and then you've got just a great play, just a great individual play by Carnell Tate, like 40-yard, I thought he didn't catch it. And then
me neither.
You look at it, it's like, oh, damn, the ball didn't drop. Similar to the C.J. Daniels play last night.
Talk about very soon.
Notre Dame. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. Yep. But so it's touchdown. Now it's 14-0. We're in the fourth quarter, and Texas gets the ball back, and they immediately answer. 13 plays, 76 yards, 5 minutes off the clock. They march right down to the field. And what do? They get the ball to the 9-yard line again. And they finally do throw the ball, and it's incomplete. And we are sitting here watching another turnover on downs.
So they went run, and that's when they went pass on the 9-yard line.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, what I will say about the games this weekend, especially with these big time matchups, it's like something fluky happens. I think there was none of that. I think all the teams that won this weekend earned their win and more.
Absolutely.
They played their ass off for these wins.
Yep.
Rolling on, you talked about C.J. Daniels in Miami. Let's get into it.
Yep.
Miami 27, Notre Dame, and they must have heard me saying that people don't show up to Miami games. They packed it out in Hard Rock. I was telling you what, in the rain.
Let's pause for a second here. So what Miami fans are famous for is they don't care at all about the team. But if the team might have a chance to do something really cool, they all of a sudden care.
Yeah.
The Marlins fans didn't show up at all season long. Then they go to the World Series, and it's like, boom, the stadium's packed. It's like, we're in the World Series. Let's show up. It's and then you remember the Heat fans that got locked out of the building when they left when they were down by 17 in Game 6.
Yep.
They wouldn't let them come back in to watch them win because they're like, no, bitch, you left.
Yeah, sorry, bro. So Carson Beck and Miami get it done. And I would like to maintain the fact, Chad, if you will humor me, that I was never in the camp of Carson Beck is a bad quarterback. Yeah. I was in the camp of he should be good, can be good, but routinely last year got burned by his own dumb decisions or our receivers just dropping the ball inexplicably. I also think that he had a lot of help, and I think that was also kind of a factor Sunday.
Yep. That
when you put a better supporting cast around him and don't make him do it all, it goes a lot better. A la Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, not A.D. Mitchell, I'm sorry. Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, and Dominic Lovett. I think that was very true last night with one C.J. Daniels, as well as I don't want to get his name wrong. I had it written down. I believe the other Singleton was the other wide receiver. No. He had 2 wide receivers that he went to that night. And Tony. Malachi Tony. Yeah, he's a freshman.
Malachi Singleton's the backup quarterback at Arkansas.
Sorry, I had to get that. I have it written down, gang. We're getting people's names right this year. So New Year's resolution.
Yeah. Josh Simon is the tight end at South Carolina last year.
So on the flip side of this, I think that CJ Carr, as a true freshman playing quarterback for Notre Dame, played well. I just think that you put it right there. It just happened way too late. There's a shocking lack of carries to Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
My thought for the game plan is, before we realized that Miami's defense was actually good, just run up between the tackles all night long, and they're not going to stop you. Well, they kind of did, but they also didn't feed them enough. I think Smith had 10 carries, and their freshman running back, or was it Price?
Yeah.
Also didn't have that many carries. He had one around the outside where he literally it was weird. He beat the first guy, and then taunted when a safety still had the angle on him and pushed him out of bounds before he got to the end zone. That was weird. This just did
so
not
Price had
feel...
6 carries and Love had 10 carries. But yeah, it's I now I kind of feel like an idiot I still stand by my I trust that this will change as the season goes on. But I had Jeremiah Love as my dark horse Heisman candidate.
A lot of people did.
Not if he's going to get
not alone.
14 touches a game, like a dump off screen and 10 carries. Feed that man.
And I kept saying this. I know that it's obviously the team goes first. Nobody goes into a season we're going to get this guy the Heisman. But that's not how you do a Heisman campaign with giving a guy the ball that few times.
Right.
That can
especially
be that good.
When you almost are going to lose a game, whether you feed him or not, and then you do lose the game, regardless of what your game plan was. Yeah,
Notre Dame shot themselves in the foot a little bit too. I think they really kind of gave it back to Miami when they had opportunities with a fumble early, on their own 35-40. I think that TJ Carr's good though, and I think that also.
I think Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor are really good too, though.
Yes,
that tandem on the outside, on the right side of that defensive line.
Yeah,
it's a lot to deal with.
Another example, we tried to call them out on it. They had 11? No, I think it was 11 transfer starters for Miami. Or what does that mean? And they made it work. They overhauled their defense. I feel
those 2 guys are returners though. They just were the 2 guys, I guess, who were worth keeping. Not.
Well, I'm talking about the DBs.
So, the secondary. Their secondary is better. But I think so. The big theme for me this week is so many of these games that I watched, because I went through and when we looked through our film study, I was focusing not exclusively, but a large part, because it's really easy when you're watching the games as they're going on to just follow the ball. And so when I watch game film back after the game's over, and I know that I'm not trying to see what happened because I already know what happened, I just watch the trenches. And I watched the Alabama game. I watched them get whipped up front and have multiple times where there's multiple dudes getting in, getting penetration into the backfield. I saw the same thing with Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a really good offensive line with a lot of dudes coming back, returning, and Miami struggled last year defensively. And I'm not saying that they didn't still have their issues. They had some coverage breakdowns late and let Notre Dame get back into it. But this is a different Miami defense, and Mario Cristobal might actually have something. And the fact that he went out and just replaced the number 1 overall pick with a dude who people were giving him a Heisman hype and possibly even number 1 overall pick hype last year in Carson Beck to replace Cam Ward. He may have found something that, and now that they already have that, they touched the stove and it was hot last year when you shoot yourself in the foot against Syracuse late and cost yourself a playoff berth. They actually have a team that should be in the playoffs and I think might be able to make a run. This is setting up actually to be potentially a really, really good 12-team playoff field this year.
Well, I'll even go to this. I think we have potential for at least at the top, more than I think we expected and believed, that the ACC at the top is going to have some competition for the top spots. For real.
We don't know about the Big Ten because the Big Ten did what they usually do, which is not challenge themselves with any out of conference games that are Ohio State. That's it. Congratulations. Y'all did it. Everybody else played cupcakes and they all played at home. I think the 2 teams that didn't play at home were Northwestern and Nebraska. Nebraska played at Cincinnati and Northwestern played at Tulane and got beat. But the ACC went on the road, or Clemson hosted LSU, Florida State hosted Alabama, Virginia Tech went to Atlanta to play in a neutral site game with South Carolina. The ACC actually acquitted themselves very well this weekend.
I agree.
With their performances, with the depth of the team. Now, I'll say this: I don't know that they have that top end that maybe you have with the top end of the SEC and the Big Ten, but I think that the middle of those conferences, that everybody in the ACC could play with the teams that are kind of in the middle
For
of those
sure,
conferences.
dude. Yeah, and so going back to Carson Beck, I think that there were some throws that he made last night that were completions that like it was shaky, like it was like off the back foot, and it was like
Oh yeah, that one that he threw when he was getting hit, he threw it deep. I was like, bro, well, I'm talking about the one where he threw it away. Yeah, I was like, man, you almost just threw a pick. Like there was coverage over there.
What I'm saying is, last year those throws are either drops or picks if he's in the Georgia uniform. Yeah. So I liked what I saw, but let's see if he maintains it, because his receivers definitely helped him out big time, which is what we kept saying last year. There was a lot of times where like he made the throw and the receivers didn't catch it.
Yeah,
I think that was a great game, honestly, for a Sunday night in at Hard Rock. I think it was pretty awesome, Chad. I think Marcus. I think this was not Marcus Freeman did not coach the game that I thought that he. Does that also make sense?
Yeah, and so I'll say this though with that. I think there's a few teams where we're still there's a lot left to be written about them.
I agree.
Ohio State, Texas. Ohio State's starting a first-year starter quarterback. He's not a true freshman or anything like that, but Julian Sayin has not started a game until this weekend, and he did well enough. I do think their offense might be a little bit of a problem, because they may be back in that like Kyle McCord type of mold that they were a couple of years ago, where it's like, why does Marvin Harrison, he's supposed to be the best receiver in the country, why does he have 2 catches for 14 yards? Yeah. That sort of thing. You could see something like that where Ryan Day is going to perhaps hold him back in big games to just not to lose. The 12-team playoff affords you a greater opportunity to do that. You can play a little more close to the best, but they're not going to have – I don't think he has the trust that he had in Will Howard, right? I think the same thing could be said for Riley Leonard versus C.J. Carr. So, like, Mario Cristobal can just hand Carson Beck the keys that Cam Ward just left, right? It's a little harder for Marcus Freeman to be like, all right, C.J. Carr, go get him. And then Miami knows that, so they're loading up the box, which is probably part of why you didn't see as much production out of Jeremiah Love. And that's going to be a problem, too, going forward. It's one of those double-edged swords. Either that means that running back is just going to go off because, like Ashton Jeanty, he has to carry the team, or it could mean that it's just too much to try to carry himself because they don't have the weapons to support it.
So what last comment on Notre Dame before we move on to our next fun game. Their 0-1 to start the season. And again, I mean, this is what you would call a quality loss. I think think we can. I'm happy to say that early. Sure. However, what I maybe didn't look at hard enough, or maybe we didn't talk about long enough, is that Notre Dame actually gave themselves a lot harder of a schedule than they typically have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They play A&M and Arkansas, and I'm pretty sure those are both on the road. No.
Yep. No, A&M was on the road last year.
A&M's going up to South Bend.
Yeah.
But I low-key think, and I'm going to move on, and you can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that Notre Dame has to go to Fayetteville this year. But they have to play Arkansas and A&M both this year, so that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, very.
An SEC team who got the job done, a neutral site, you just talked about it, was the South Carolina Gamecocks in the Benz Sunday afternoon. 3 p.m. game, 3 p.m. Eastern against Virginia Tech. Lenora Sellers gets it done. Worked really hard to get it done. Got it done. Beat Virginia Tech, who honestly is no slack team. I think a couple, that Virginia Tech team makes a couple more plays. That their quarterback, I think, is it Drones?
Yeah, Kyron Drones. Yeah.
Drones. I think good. Made some great throws and also some not great throws simultaneously. There was some unbelievable throws down the sideline, and then there was just like some underthrows and overthrows and throwing it to the defense for no reason. So very up and down game for Virginia Tech. Overall, I think that, and I'm not going to speak too soon, this could be a totally just.
I would say it's an up and down game for South Carolina too, though, right?
Yes, I agree. I think that Virginia Tech could be okay for themselves this year. I guess we'll see.
Well, don't forget, Virginia Tech is the team that should have beaten Miami, but they overturned a touchdown at the end of the game that would have given them a win against Miami. So, like, this is not this is not a bad team. And they actually got some dudes on the perimeter. Their receivers,
Their receivers are
good,
nasty, dude.
Yes.
Like they were like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, they were making some unbelievable catches on the outside. I was like, holy shit! If this quarterback could just dial in a couple more passes, we might have ourselves a problem for South Carolina.
Donovan and Aiden Green, they were.
Sellers goes 12 for 19, 209 and a tud. Only 25 yards rushing, but it's so interesting. The rushing yards that Sellers had were all in the most opportune times. The pocket collapses. He gets out, gets a first down, tiptoes his way down the sideline.
So I'll say this. So he had 13 for 25, but sack adjusted, it's 9 for 61 because he had 4 sacks for 36 yards.
Oh, so it's 61 yards total.
But that's the thing I wanted to bring up, though, is that I wonder about the rest of the team and the offensive line. Like, no Rocket Sanders. They have some dudes.
Faison's not bad.
They got some guys. Rasul Faison, and then they have Oscar Attaway, who came back. He was their backup last year behind Rocket Sanders. But I don't know that it's the same as Rocket Sanders. Like, Rocket Sanders, put the fear of God in you because he's either going to truck somebody or he might just house it because he's that fast. And Nick Harbor on the outside is a really good receiver, really big, but he's not super quick. They don't have that little jitterbug that the kid from Florida State that Lucas. That kid can fly, and he's quick. He's small and quick, but they don't have the offensive line to protect Sellers. I think they need. I think there's some. He's going to have to do a lot of making the most of broken plays.
For sure, and I don't disagree. I also think that the South Carolina's defense, in my opinion, up front, I think they're pretty solid. I think on the perimeter, it was a little shaky at times. It can be exploited, and I think that also is part of that is maybe a knock on the DBs, but also I do think that those receivers for Virginia Tech are legit. There's it goes both ways there for sure. Yeah. Nick Harbor is a mutant that he looks like David Njoku and can run faster than him, and that's just kind of scary to me. Just built the same way, in my opinion. Just a big boy. All in all, South Carolina gets the job done, and the Lenora Sellers gives the game ball to Shane Beamer's dad at the end of the game. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was cool. Yeah. Got to give the nod to where it all started. So shout out to South Carolina and Lenora Sellers. We're here. Listen, I have a ticket on Lenora Sellers to win the Heisman this year, so we're not down and out. The other game that happened in the Benz. Listen, I'm going to give a little. Good job, Tennessee. You played a great game, and I cannot take that away from you. As much as I don't like you, I don't have anything bad to say because I think that they played a top to bottom excellent game against a Syracuse team that's supposed to be pretty darn good. Who beat
Miami last year?
Who beat Miami last year?
But still
in the dome.
They got Steve Angeli from Notre Dame, and
who did not play bad.
Didn't play great either.
Did not play great either. But I think that from top to bottom, offense, defense, Tennessee played an amazing game. Hey, I got to say this. I know that the locker room probably bought in early last year, but Tennessee fans, you better hope that they never ever get rid of Josh Heupel, because for him to say, "Hey, Nico, hit the road, buddy," and to bring in Aguilar, and for Aguilar to be, like we talked about before, as advertised, an SEC quarterback off rip, because I don't think Nico plays this well in this game. I really don't. Aguilar's performance in this game is better than all of Nico's film last year. I'm going to be.
Nico didn't play that well against Utah.
No, he did not, and they lost and looked bad doing it.
They got smoked.
It did not, and it looked bad doing it. Tennessee has guys all over the field. Their defense was flying, heat-seeking missiles, 5 sacks. Aguilar, 247, 3 tuds. Star Thomas, the running back, 92 rushing yards. They have apparently another running back, Deshaun Bishop, 82 yards, 248 combined rushing yards on the ground, and Joey still threw for 274. So Syracuse gave them a game, and Tennessee said, "Well, that's great. We're still going to win." What do you think, Chad?
No, I think everybody forgot that Tennessee has dudes. Tennessee is consistently in the top 10 in recruiting every year, and they're bringing in like dudes on the defensive line, dudes on the offensive line, linebackers, DBs. They always got receivers. They always have running backs. And then I think when Josh Heupel was kind of issued that ultimatum by Nico Emaliaba, he was just like, yeah, bro, hit the bricks. We'll be okay without you. You are not superior to this team, and we're going to keep it pushing, and we'll bring somebody else in, and we'll be just fine. And sure enough, all he has to do is go get a dude who can fill in and get the job. Like Joey Aguilar. So like a lot of fuss was made about the interceptions that he threw when he was at App State and some of the different little peripherals, but I think he was trying to do everything he could with that squad. And the other thing that not everybody, but that's easy to forget, I think, is take anybody, quarterback X, and give him to Josh Heupel. He's going to be better.
It's true.
So I'm not surprised that Joey Aguilar came in and looked the part of a poised, solid, maybe not great, he's not Peyton Manning or anything like that, but a solid Tennessee, solid SEC quarterback. He didn't have to be Hendon Hooker. Just get the job done. And, no Dylan Sampson, no problem. We got other dudes. We'll just run the ball with other dudes. It's totally fine. And that's what they did. You had Staley had 95 yards. I'm sorry. I was looking at the receivers. Star Thomas had 92 yards on 12 carries. You had Bishop had 11 for 82. Like this is just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They play Tennessee football.
They play Tennessee football, and I'm not gonna lie, Chad. Like we play them in 2 weeks, and it's gonna be a game. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. So once again, Josh Heupel, Tennessee fans, anybody that thinks that we only talk shit, and we're gonna move on. Golf claps all around. Congratulations. Friday night action. We have had Thursday to Monday football. It's been awesome. Rolling right along. Two teams that I thought this was a great game, Chad.
Yeah.
All I gotta say from both teams. Mm-hmm. Auburn 38, Baylor 24. At Baylor, Jackson Arnold gets it done on the ground, picking up right where he left off with a way better team, with a way better scheme, I think, for what he is built to do, I would say. Getting it done at Baylor. And on the flip side of that, we talked about Robertson, the quarterback for Baylor.
He had a great game, too.
He had a phenomenal game. He threw for 419
and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Arnold Auburn, however, just ran the shit out of the football. 307 combined rushing yards on the ground. Arnold 137 and 2 tuds. Arnold he completed 11 passes for 108 yards, no touchdowns. So what I'm getting at is Baylor did their job offensively, and Auburn just did what SEC teams can sometimes do, just beat your ass in the trenches.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did. This is not a knock on Baylor. I think that both teams played excellent. I think that it kind of, when all is said and done with this game, I think it came down to the kick return late for a touchdown, and then Baylor, this was the score, and Baylor had the ball and then did not convert on like a 4th and 1 or 4th and goal, and that was the game. And
but to your point about like the way that like SEC teams do it, because this is like a Big 12, the Big 12 model is modeled here, where it's 483 total yards, 419 of them are through the air, right?
Yep.
Look at the SEC version. It's 415 yards, 307 of them are on the ground, and you outrush your opponent 307 to 64. Like that's the old school smash mouth SEC model right there is that. And then still having the ability to throw the ball. Now I'm going to be interested to see how does Jackson Arnold do later on in the season when we get to a point where someone tries to take this stuff away.
But
and
the thing is that even if they do
that read option a little bit,
But in my opinion, even if they do this, the receivers they brought in, I'm still so pissed they grabbed Singleton from Georgia Tech. Man, he's so good, and he's going to be great.
So the thing is, though, you got Zachariah Branch, same dude, just better, like faster.
Yeah, we'll
And
talk about that.
And we didn't go after Eric Singleton because we have Aaron Anderson, who's like same dude, but like already on our roster. And so like you don't need another jitterbug. But they needed that because they have Cam Coleman. They have that big, Nick Harbor type. I'm not saying he's Nick Harbor, but that big, tall, throw a fade in the corner in the red zone type guy. They needed that guy who you can hit the ball on the tunnel screen and have him take the distance.
Well, when it all comes down to it, when both teams play great, and you can't say one thing bad about either team, realistically, it comes down to 2-3 plays, and that's what it came down to. So I honestly, this is a sample size, and what people love to do, and you and I love to do, everyone loves to do. Week one just happened. We're going to overreact to everything.
Right.
I think that Auburn is, it's the SEC is also better when Auburn's good too.
Yeah,
that's another thing that like we've missed out on for a couple of years, and I'm glad to see they might just be back. We'll see. Baylor also might be good. I think that Sawyer Robertson's going to be good. We'll see if the the rest of the team holds up. And we're going to wrap up a couple games. There was another game out west. Georgia Tech got it done against Colorado. They bring Dion brought in Salter. He was the quarterback at Liberty.
Yeah,
Liberty. He made some great throws, but also some not great throws. Colorado had a chance to potentially win the game late. And if anybody knows anything about Georgia Tech and Haynes King, if you let him stick around long enough, he will beat you and you will lose. And that is how that works. And that's exactly what he did. Haynes King, 143 yards passing with no touchdowns and 156 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. Colorado, honestly, though, not as bad. Like, there was not, in my opinion, a crazy drop-off. Losing Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, if I'm being honest. I think they got a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball.
Let's not go there because we were both far less impressed with those two guys than everybody else was.
I'm just saying it was not that people were taking this massive drop-off. I think it was about this. I think that this could have been easily the score if those two guys were still on the team. Let's be real. So
yeah, because those two dudes weren't going to stop Haynes King from running for 156 yards.
Exactly. And, and unfortunately, and I keep having to say it, Haynes King has my eternal respect, and I can't say two things about it because we got lucky as hell that we did not lose to them in our own turf last year. Thursday night football that happened last week. So, Chad, I have a question. Can we give – I typed that wrong. Wait, no, I didn't. I lied. Yes, that is a score.
It doesn't look right, but it's right.
That is exactly what happened. Can we give Ashton Gentry his Heisman now? Can we give it back? Can we go back and give it to him?
Yeah. Can we show that like Colorado's exactly the same team without Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and that Boise is like just terrible now?
Because Madsen still threw for 225 and a touchdown, and they had no production whatsoever. USF, however, Byron Brown, and they were talking about this on the broadcast a lot. I know I'm talking a lot, Chad, but I had a lot on my mind. I'm feeling it. They were talking about the broadcasters. A lot of these South Florida guys have been there since they were freshmen. They brought in like very few. Like there are some transfers in the team, one of which is Chaz Nimrod from Tennessee, who balled out. Very good, 93 yards. It's receiving. And then their other who I wrote Singleton, I don't know his first name, also played well. That's on me. But I think that USF played a very complete game against Boise. Boise was ranked 25, which means nothing. Like they weren't overrated by any means of the word. Like you could be ranked preseason 25 in a top 25 poll, and that's totally fine.
It's Keyshawn Singleton, by the way.
Keyshawn Singleton, thank you, young man. I'm so sorry for not knowing your first name.
Yeah,
he did. So all in all, can we give Ashton Gentry his Heisman back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many tables I need to stand on, but apparently more because
we've been shouting from the heavens that if you are threatening Barry Sanders' single-season rushing record, you should maybe get the Heisman. Just saying.
And if your best stat is that you played more than other people, then that should not automatically qualify you for the Heisman. Snaps is not a stat. It's a show that used to exist, and it was Aaron Murray and T-Bob Abear.
But this Georgia LSU combination show existed first, ladies and gentlemen.
That is correct.
And speaking of the other half of this show that we did not preview, that we did not preview, and that's okay. But we're going to
And I
talk
don't
about
have a little fancy graphic for you.
Don't worry.
Because you played Montana. Oh, you played Marshall. Who cares?
We are Marshall. They are Marshall. Well,
they don't even have their whole roster went to
Southern Miss.
Southern Miss. So like you're not even playing Marshall. You're playing like
so what of their players says we got 60 new guys. They're not going to know what's coming. That's literally quoted on a press conference against us. I'm like, well, didn't matter, buddy, because we took care of business. I am so happy because Chad, you know this, but the greater public does not really probably know this. But they at the University of Georgia like to play with their food too goddamn much when they have matchups like this and make it ridiculously close for no reason sometimes. And you never know how it's going to go. So shout out to Gunnar Stockton for, looking like Stetson Bennett, but a few inches taller and a couple pounds heavier, running the ball really well, insane pocket presence, got out when he needed to, ran the read option to perfection. It was so beautiful. We were probably on the 15-yard line. He, Cash Jones, he puts the ball there, and Cash Jones literally gets tackled. And I'm like, oh my God, they really just blow us up, on the line of scrimmage. And Stockton's like, psych, and runs it in. It was awesome. Zachariah Branch is exactly as advertised. He is slot receiver Jesus, a.k.a. Mike Bobo's best case scenario for the guy who loves to throw screen passes. He literally throws a screen out to the left and then beats every guy who has an angle for 30 yards to the crib. It was excellent. Our defense looked amazing. Juan Gaston starting at right guard. The only second true freshman offensive lineman to start in the history of Kirby Smart's tenure at Georgia. The first was Andrew Thomas, who is still starting the NFL to this day. Stockton threw for 190, 2 tuds, 73 rushing yards. And it was great to see. I talked about this in our Georgia preview. Colby Young and London Humphreys, the transfers who we got last year, both showing up. Humphreys got a touchdown. Colby Young got a couple key catches. And then we just, dominated the ground game. We had 6 different running backs get touches in that game, which was excellent. It was super awesome to see. And then Ryan Puglisi got in to go 5 for 8 with a touchdown. And we also got a touchdown to our true freshman tight end, Elias Williams. And so that was awesome. And that was the Georgia Marshall game for all the people that didn't watch, which was everybody except for me.
Guys, this show would have been over under an hour, but we had to talk about Georgia Marshall.
We did have to talk about Georgia Marshall, but I appreciate
and look, Tyler's going to try to say, but we were supposed to play UCLA, but they backed out. This is who he thought they were going to play. Oh, man, I'm sharing the wrong tab. This one right here. This UCLA team that lost 43-10 to Utah. That's who he's going to brag and say, yeah, but we had a good opponent scheduled. You basically had Marshall scheduled.
We had an opponent scheduled. They're a football team.
Oh, shoot. No, look, man, you guys are going to be good. What's going to be really interesting to see is how do we do against Alabama? Shout out to Drew for taking a hot dump on us and our excitement while we watched Alabama lose to Florida State and watched LSU win. And he said that, this just means that Alabama's going to be terrible and they're still going to beat Georgia and LSU. Damn, man. Come on.
Easy now.
Last year, they saved their best for us. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit different this year. I actually like a lot what you guys have with Stockton.
Me too.
This is one of those things where I think for both of us, we can look at the University of Miami and I can say congrats, CJ Daniels. I'm happy for you. I think LSU is probably a little better off without him because what they needed was what they got. And I feel like he's better off where he is. Mm-hmm. And I think the same can be said for Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton in Georgia. I think Georgia is better off without Carson Beck and with Gunnar Stockton instead. And I think Carson Beck is better off playing for Miami. It's one of those weird things where it's a win-win. And
I don't disagree. The part of me wants to prey on his downfall, but that's just how being an SEC fan works. If it works out for him, great. I can't hate him. He's playing for another team now. All I can say is I love the quarterback that we have now. And it's great to see that, and Kirby, it was the whole team was a kind of disarray because, Kirby, his dad literally died in the middle of a Sugar Bowl last year. And Stockton was playing, on a few weeks of practice. So to see the team come together in all the ways that it should have was so awesome. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that was the week 1 recap, and we had a lot of games to talk about, and it was great. I think it delivered in better than any week 1 that I can remember. And we are Chad, I am so excited for college football. We're so back. The South End Zone is back. If you've stuck around this long, please like, share, comment, subscribe, talk shit to us, tell us you love us, anywhere in between. I don't care. We're just happy you're here. Chad, congratulations on being the real Death Valley. This has been the South End Zone. We appreciate y'all. We out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.